Hello and welcome back to Scholastically Natalie, where we talk about books, writing, reading, and sometimes D&D. Today we're continuing on with the Inktober prompts, called Woodland Magic by SmallTownSpells. So, I hope you've all had a pretty good week. Mine's been pretty normal. Again, sorry for the delayed video yesterday. I have been losing track of time as always, and then I got sucked into watching Sabrina the Teenage Witch, and then my entire back decided to mutiny against me, and today I've just been living off of a shiatsu, wrap massager thingy that you can use, and icy hot. Ever since I opened the package, I've just been constantly using icy hot. I always forget that when I, work out my muscles the next day, they tense up even more. I don't know why, but it's really annoying. So, as you can see on the screen, the prompt for today, or number 7, if we're pretending I've been doing Inktober loyally, was herbs. And now that I'm staring at this, I'm not entirely sure what I'm going to write, because I've just drawn 3 pots with name labels on them. I took some inspiration from Nick Deramio. I don't know how he says his last name, but some of his patrons get to name his plants, and he puts, his chat gets to, and he puts little name tags in them, which I think is absolutely adorable. So I did something similar. I have no knowledge as to what any of these plants actually look like, by the way. These are just me having fun with leaves. So we have Tina the Thyme, Debbie Dill, and Ray Rosemary, because I also like alliteration. And today I'm drinking some milk out of a glass with a straw, because I've discovered that the secret to life with extremely sensitive teeth is drinking out of straws when you're drinking cold things. And, my teeth have stopped hurting as much because they're not getting direct contact with icy liquid. Now I can drink my pop cold out of the fridge and not be in pain. So, I really don't know where to start with this. Do I want the plants to be alive, or do I want to write about a collector and namer of plants? I'm really not sure. This is hard. Let's see. The room was blanketed in a kind of stuffy heat. What is that called? I like going to England because they have low, oh my gosh, I can't remember the word for it. A high percentage. What is it called? I know it's measured by a barometer, but I can't remember what the thing itself is called. The barometer on the ivy-covered wall. Almost in the red. And I've stretched the skin, or scratched it somehow when I was washing dishes. My hand, so it hurts when I move my fingers right there. It's really annoying. The barometer on the ivy-covered wall, almost in the red. The barometer was a small circle outlined with white, lovingly stained wood. Maybe it should be lovingly stained. Outlined with wood, lovingly stained white. The inside was simple, No numbers, no letters, just a range from green to red and an arrow that reflected the inside atmosphere. The room was always kept stuffy, comparable to a rainforest, due to the tables and hooks and shelves. Another comma there. To the tables and hooks and shelves, covered in and supporting plants of almost every kind. Dumped all over the room, turning it into a veritable forest. All the plants were in a wide variety of pots, some cracked, mended back together with caulk and an unsteady hand, while others were nearly pristine. Others were sconces made to hang on the wall, containing only a few succulents or just the stem of one very determined vine. Some pots came with stands, varying heights, in size. A monstrous aloe plant had found its way into what was clearly a cement planter from outside a shopping mall. In the corners were olive trees, and weaving through a trellis in the corner was a lovely... I only know like 5 plants. Why am I doing this to myself? It was a lovely tomato plant, almost ready to bear fruit. The room was teeming with life, all gathered by one lonely little figure who sat in the only clear space. A large wingback wicker chair, clearly rescued from some sort of garage sale, or even the trash heap itself. The wicker chair only had a slim gardening foam pad for its seat and a rough burlap picnic blanket for warmth. The person who sat inside of it was swallowed by the sweeping back and the high arms. It creaked warningly as they shifted, answered by a sniffle as the child in the chair blew their nose. It was impossible to tell how old they were, or where they belonged, as it seemed they could only belong in this room. Nope. In the room in that chair. On that gardening mat. Gardening foam. They were small, with wiry arms and legs. Ghostly pale skin exposed by khaki cargo shorts. And a soft-looking blouse. The two buttons at the top of the shirt had been ripped off. Their holes lovingly repaired. In some sort of accident with the pruners. The plants in the room were well looked after, all green and lush with life, all tended to by this small, fragile human. They rarely left the room, often only to get groceries or other necessities, and would return huffing under a large bag of goods. Frequently carting a new, flowery edition under their arm. They had made it a habit to adopt those plants that were thrown away or given up on, or even just left out on the porch for a bit too long. They knew that they would take care of the plants. See them thrive and grow and exist when their old owners would have just let them die as some sort of unfortunate accident that happened all too often. This child, however, knew how easy and sad it was for people to leave you, to give up, to assume you were more self-sufficient than they thought. And while the child certainly couldn't trust another human, they could certainly trust a plant. Plants wanted very few things. They certainly weren't demanding or whimsical. They couldn't be disappointed or let down. They just were. And if you left them, they'd die. The child certainly felt that they had more in common with plants than with people. And so they remained. A single room filled with more plants than most had seen outside of a park. Quietly toiling away for the only things they had left. One day the child may run into something a little more alive than just a plant, something just as lonely, just as forgotten as they were. And maybe, just maybe, the child would take them home and care for them just like a plant. But that was for a future yet determined, not yet seen or glimpsed, or even hoped for. Now it was just the child and their plants in a quiet room over top of a small street. Okay, thanks for watching. I realize that this little prompt response got a little sad towards the end, but I did want to convey some hope towards the end that maybe the child would want to interact with something other than plants. I wanted to give it more of like a contemplative feel, more of a character study than a world-building option, and I hope we can agree that we reached that part. So, looks like we got the video for, well, technically today. And I can say I did get a little frightened today because something I ordered from ASOS, like literally 2 days ago, arrived and they knocked on my door. And I wasn't expecting it so quickly. Although I guess I technically was forced to pay for express shipping. They didn't give me any other options. But it was on an incredibly good sale. And, well, since none of my friends watch this video, or any of my videos, I can tell you that since my one friend wants to go to a convention, it's happening really late in the year, and the only thing that really popped in my brain for this that I at all wanted to attempt ever was Heisenberg from Resident Evil 8, from the village. So this is just a giant trench coat. It's not quite the right color, but I can make do. And it's really comfy. I put it on today, and it's going to be nice to wear besides for that. Anyways, let me know what you thought about this prompt response, if you're enjoying the Inktober prompt responses. I know I am. I like just being able to kind of write without having to turn it into something like big and expansive. I'm kind of liking just these like small glimpses of things in a universe. I do kind of like imagining that all of my prompts are different people living in this vast universe, like they're all in the same world, because most of these prompts are evolving around magic because that's the theme. And I'm enjoying just seeing all these characters kind of just breathe a little bit. If you too would like to respond to these prompts, be it either drawing or writing, feel free to drop the writing in the comments or tweet drawings at me on Twitter, because I like seeing that, you know, what you guys are up to pretty much. Let me know how your week has gone so far if you don't want to respond to the prompt and you feel like having a bit of a chit chat. And I think that's all. Hope you guys are doing well. Don't forget to always have icy hot in your house, because I had to buy some this week. And I will see you all in the next one. Scholastically Natalie is out.